What's up, everybody? It's your boy back at it with another second channel video. Been a while, but I don't have an upload for the main channel, so you guys are getting this instead. Today, I want to kind of talk or rant a little bit about the ethics of sponsorships. And sponsorships are an incredibly important part of any content creator's sphere, I suppose, or their career, and how big a role these play into your career can sometimes sway you into doing things that you don't want to or that maybe you're not proud of. Last year, I was working a full-time job with the government, so I was less easily swayed by the dollar signs, and boy, are there big dollar signs. You should know, if you ever see me do a sponsorship video, that basically it covers an entire month's living for myself, maybe more. I think the biggest offer I ever got for a sponsorship was like 10 grand, which is fucking insane. And I had to turn it down because it was just like malicious gambling garbage. And I was like, okay, as much as that is literally like life-changing money, I just couldn't do it. So on that point, there are absolutely ethics involved in which companies you decide to work with and which ones you don't. The first thing I do whenever I'm approached by a company is if they're offering a product or they want me to review a video game, I say, that's fine, that's great, but you need to give it to me first. Give it to me first to review. If I like it, I will then work with you. This immediately weeds out about 50% of my, offers. I would say at the channel size I'm at, about 130,000 subscribers, I get about 2 to 3 sponsorship offers per week. And if you watch my main channel at all, you know I only take maybe 1 per month. So it weeds out quite a few. That's dropping, 12 to 1 or maybe 12 to 2. So that's a pretty big litmus test right there. Say that I want to test your thing up front. I want my complete honest opinions of it first. Then, if it's good enough for my quality of standards, I will then work with you. That's a lot of money I'm flushing down the drain, but trust me, it's worth it. When I first was kind of getting the ball rolling on YouTube, I probably had about 40,000 subscribers, probably around this time last year. There were a couple companies I worked for, one in particular, that burned me. They literally did not pay me. Now, it's pretty easy for me to edit that segment out of the video and just edit it out completely. I don't know what happened with them, but a lot of the times, a lot of the companies take advantage of smaller creators when you're naive enough that you just don't know what's going on. Now, fortunately, again, I'm very privileged to say that I work with a management company. And now the management company basically facilitates, what the hell does that mean? The management company facilitates most of the deals. The offers come through my email, I forward it to them, and then they negotiate. They have lawyers, they have accountants, they manage everything. They just come to me with a product and say, hey, we think this one meets your quality of standards or is a good fit. Would you like to work with them? And I can simply say yes or no. It's a very first world problem to think about. I'm being offered loads of money, too much money, for realistically, we're talking like less than an hour of work. How long does it take to come up with like a 60-second script and stick together some clips, right? It's basically no work at all. And for thousands plural of dollars per hour. So what right do I have to say no to some of these offers, right? I know what it's like to have very little money in my bank account, right? I was a student at one point, like probably a lot of people watching this video. I know what it's like to eat macaroni and ramen every day for the entire week. I know what that's like. But still, there's the sense of a caretaker that I have for my audience. There's a sense of responsibility I have to not just take every offer that comes across my table, even if it does pay wildly. You have no idea how many gambling and anime companies have reached out to me to cover their fucking dog shit video games for we're talking like 10K, 15K for like a 15-minute video on my channel. It doesn't matter how good the views do. It doesn't matter. They just want a dedicated video, and I'm flushing that much money down the drain. There's part of me that thinks, am I a bad person for doing that? I could do that deal and just donate that money to charity or something. Like, who am I to say no? But again, it comes down to ethics, you know? It's the reason why the many Greek philosophers debated this for like hundreds of years, is there's really no right or wrong answer. But I personally feel like exclusivity in the case of sponsorships is generally superior. There's a couple companies I work with on repeat because I really think their products have a lot of quality, genuinely. One of these is Raycon. They send me like a bunch of earbuds. Like every couple months I get a new product from them, and then they're like, well, you know, if you like it, let's work together on a video. Like, they're great to work with. There's a couple video games that I've worked with. Atomfall was I really enjoyed my time playing Atomfall, and the people behind that project were very passionate, and they were a really great team to work with, and they were one of the people who offered a dedicated video. And now that money is nowhere near the anime/gambling money, right? That was way lower, but still, it covered basically a month's of my living expense. A month. Like, it's like it is definitely a first world problem to have and to say out loud, is to decide who to take absorbent amounts of money from. You know what's crazy is any of my friends who know me know I love gambling. Like, it's like one of my personality traits. They go, oh, okay, well, what's Steven known for? Eating cans of beans and gambling, right? Those are the two things. I'm registered on like 4 different websites. I'm gambling all the time. Now, I'm gambling like, you know, 25, 50 cents, $1 on like certain like blackjack and stuff. Like, you know, it's very small amounts, and I just do it for fun. So I like the gambling ones are so appealing for me to take, but I just can't, because I know there's going to be one person who's going to watch that segment I do in a video for a fucking like Skyrim mod or some shit. They're going to try out that gambling website, and they're going to lose like 20 grand. They're going to lose all the money that company paid me. And at that point, it's like, I don't know. There's just a lot of anime games. Is that what they're called? I guess they're called gacha games. A lot of gacha games are similar in that sense, right? It's not necessarily gambling, but it does gambling does play a big part in those games, and they prey on people who really, you know, they want everything. They have a big sense of FOMO. So it's kind of one and the same. I don't know why it's like anime specifically. Why is it always that genre of game? Always anime is always predatory. I don't understand. There's a couple companies I've worked with that are just genuine like anime RPGs with no gacha stuff, but I don't know. I would say the only gambling/gacha game you could maybe say that I've ever advertised is Raid Shadow Legends, but I genuinely play that game. There's 3 games I play every day. I do my daily mission on Bloons Tower Defense 6. I play Hearthstone and do my daily quest there, and then I do my dailies on Raid Shadow Legends. I do this every day, and I've been doing this every day for years. I really like idle games. Like, I used to actually have a YouTube channel where I just reviewed idle games after completing them. I have so many of them, and Raid's kind of an idle game, so it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for myself. So I let myself take that one. However, it doesn't really change the fact that picking your sponsorships and the companies that you work with is incredibly important. I would say even more so than the money they provide. Because every one you take, it is attached to your image in that sense where, okay, now we know this person's willing to advertise this. I don't know if you guys remember way back in the day, there used to be those CSGO, like gambling sites that used to pay a shit ton of money to YouTubers and stuff. And now all those people have a horrible, you know, reputation attached to them because they pick money over responsibility. I don't know if I'm making any sense. But I do think it's an important thing for me to share with you that if you ever do see me do a sponsorship, know that it's been thoroughly vetted. It's not something I just took because it came across my desk. It's something I genuinely consider and something I think would actually be, you know, a valuable product or a good quality video game that my audience might enjoy. If we want to get into the financials of it, which I'm happy to disclose because again, this is you know, my first year doing this, I would say sponsorships make up 50% or more of the money I make a year. And as I said, I turn down quite a few. I'm probably only doing 12 to 15 a year. I could be doing more. I could have every video sponsored if I want. I could be rolling in the fucking dough. Although the goddamn Canadian government would just take it all because it's fucking 50% taxes over here. Still, though, I could be making a lot more. And I guarantee your favorite YouTubers that you watch also could be making a lot more. If I've been approached by, AI gambling and fucking anime gotcha games with massive amounts of money, you can be rest assured your favorite channels that are larger than me have been approached by the same deals, and it's even more money. You don't even want to know how much some of the big dogs on YouTube are making. They're making like $80,000 a day. A day, bro. A good rule of thumb is roughly 1,000 views on long form content. So any video between 15 minutes and 30 minutes, 1,000 views is worth about 10 Canadian dollars. If you want a quick, easy math rule of thumb, that's what it is on my channel anyway. I'm happy to disclose that. So 1,000 views is about $10. So if you see a video with 100,000 views, that's $1,000. If you see a video with 1,000,000 views, that's $10,000. Dude, I'm just saying, man, the money can do some crazy stuff to your head, right? Like it really is. There's so many moral and ethical dilemmas. And again, I feel like a bitch for talking about it because it's a first world problem kind of thing. And it's like, oh, why don't I just make a gambling video? Why don't I just do that? It would take me 2 hours max, and it would pay my rent for a whole year. Why don't I just do that? Well, I'm not a fucking scumbag, so that's why I don't do it. God damn it. If I was a piece of shit, then I could be making bank, but I'm not. So, a bit of a tangent, but just know that every creator you see, if they advertise something, even if it's something maybe you disagree with, I guarantee you, if they seem like a human being and they seem like a somewhat responsible individual, I promise you they had some thought go behind it. They didn't just blindly accept it. They're probably doing it because they need to do it. And it's an important part of YouTube's ecosystem as well, especially with the rise of popularity of ad block. In the gaming sphere, I would say most people, like if you're watching this video, I would say there's like an 80% chance you have an ad block, and that's totally fine. I have one too, although YouTube, I believe, doesn't allow me to say that on my main channel, but you should have an ad block. Ad block makes it so obviously no ads are played. It's not tricking, which is what I used to do. I used to think it skipped the ad, like immediately it still played it. No, if you have ad block and you watch somebody's video, they don't make a dime. They make nothing. I guess if you wanted to support your favorite creators, without actually having to do anything on your end, you could turn off ad block for their videos. But as I said, that's kind of what sponsors cover. They kind of cover that gap of ad blocked views. If nobody used ad block, I would be making as much money on YouTube as I am right now with sponsors. Does that make sense? Anyway, sorry for the unregulated rant today. It says I've been recording for 30 minutes. I hope to God I edit that down to between 15 and 20 because you do not need to hear me yap for that long. I've never really personally gotten flack for sponsorships. No one's ever called me like a sellout or anything. Most of my audience are older, and most of them can appreciate and understand why I'm doing that. But I definitely have seen other creators fall under fire. And, most of the time, as I said, if they're like a decent human being, I promise you, they put some thought into taking an offer. And I guarantee you, they've probably turned down many, many worse ones. I think the transparency is valuable. And I think people who can understand and sympathize with someone in my shoes might be able to maybe appreciate what I do a little bit more, maybe understand it a little bit better, Anyway, yeah, okay, I've been talking too long. All right, see you guys. Who knows when I'll make another second channel video. Maybe it'll be like 5 months from now, but yeah, have a good one.